Do that. How would you sum up his season?
I think he did some good things, without a doubt. I think everybody was trying to work together, working through the quarterback change early on with Alex, and Alex was getting to know everybody. And then obviously we had the quarterback issues with the injuries, and then he had the injury. So, I was actually pleased the way he played. Statistically, probably we would expect more, but I think a lot of that had to do with, some of the quarterback changes probably.
Also had a couple off seasons where he's been focused more on rehabbing. Will he be able to get to a point soon where he can kind of focus back on training and strengthening again?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think this is a bad injury. I think he possibly, if we're playing next week, he could have gone next week probably. So, I think that's a great point. I think it'll be great for him to get a full set of OTAs in and training camp, and there's a lot to be said about that. Guys who miss those opportunities to get better and stronger, sometimes struggle throughout the course of the year, but having that will be beneficial to him.
Jay, we're through Thursday. No Ioannidis and Nasecki. Feel about Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know. Ioannidis maybe. Ty's pretty sore. I would say Ty's probably longer shot than Ioannidis.
Now that you know the season will end on Sunday regardless, what did the next couple days after that look like for the players and for you guys as a coaching staff?
We'll have, obviously exit physicals. We'll have a team meeting in the morning after the game. And then after that, after they get their physicals and exit physicals, I'll try to meet with each and every one of them throughout the course of this week and next week before they go. And then obviously probably have to meet with the owner at some point and see what the deal is.
When you look at your quarterback situation moving forward, obviously you go ahead and move Colt to IR. He'll get into the offseason relatively healthy because that injury is not going to extend too far. Have you thought all about bringing Josh back and where you guys stand going into the offseason at the quarterback position, still with the uncertainty with Alex and a timeline there?
Yeah, that's a ways away for us. We're trying to focus on Philadelphia. I think all those discussions will take place once this season's over and we have a green light to move forward talking about our personnel. We'll go there then.
Some major news yesterday on the business side of things here at Redskins Park. How does that impact you getting ready for a game this Sunday?
Not one bit. To be honest with you, I didn't even know about it. It's unfortunate. I got to know some of those guys, and sad for them, but I had nothing to do with any of that.
Jay, how much weight do you put on this game for some of the younger players or some of the guys that need a new contract for next year in terms of where they fit into the plan going forward?
We put a lot of weight on every game, to be honest with you. We are very critical in our evaluation of everybody throughout the course of the year. You obviously want to see players get better and stronger as the season goes on, both mentally and physically. That's why we have the weight room in here. So that's something we'll have to look at. But this game's important. I want to see the type of character guys we have. I want to see how they compete. Regardless of the score, whatever happens in that game, I want to see guys wanting to play football, wanting to compete, and wanting to get a win.
Jay, when you look back during the stretches when you guys were playing really well defensively and then some of the times when you guys were struggling, what do you think the biggest difference was between those shifts?
Yeah, I mentioned before, I think offense had a lot to do with it. I think we were off the field a lot. We didn't control the ball like we did when we were playing well. And sometimes we punted. Sometimes we had 3-4 first downs, punted, and backed them up. But I think when we struggled, we were not efficient on offense, turned the ball over a little bit. And then defensively, we got behind. The whole playbook was open, and we just failed to make plays at critical times, third downs especially. And then we gave up some gash runs, which are uncharacteristic of our defense. So big plays hurt us, third down conversions hurt us, and then obviously being on the field a lot also hurt us.
When you guys signed Adrian Peterson, a lot of the question was about would he last all 16 games. Here we are. He's going to play in all 16. What can you say about his durability? Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it, but, it doesn't happen very often for a back of his age to do what he's done, accomplish what he's accomplished, getting over 1,000 yards, playing through some painful injuries, really, practicing, working hard, being a great teammate. Just been very impressed with Adrian's total package, so to speak. So, it was a blessing in disguise. Obviously we missed Darius. We had high hopes for him. Rob Kelly went down. We needed a back, and not very often you get to sign a Hall of Fame type back to your roster when you have a couple injuries. So fortunately he was around, and we signed him, and he's everything as advertised.
Is that something that, obviously he'll be a free agent, but bringing him back to help Darius next year, is that something that you see could
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I'm sure he's got to weigh his options out, as do we, and we'll go from there. But like I said, we're a long way away from that. We're just trying to focus on the Eagles right now and put our best foot forward and try to get a win last game of the year. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Obviously, comments were made by DJ Swearinger. He was released. What did you make of that, and did you talk to him post those comments?
I did not speak to him afterwards, but his statements are out there. He made them, and he has to, he just made his comments, and that's what most players do. If they had comments, I try to do the best I can across the board to protect each and every player across the board, and that was it.
What had your interactions with him been like leading up to that? I know this had been discussed before.
I think overall, is just trying to lead us in the right direction. Every time it was the most important thing that we get out there and play as a team and one unit. I always told you it doesn't matter what call it is. I don't have a magical crystal ball, but as long as we play together and play as a team, and we'll have success.
Greg, he said in an interview that he would text you sometimes very late at night with suggestions as he was watching film. Is that something that you were open to? And if not, how would you? How do you take feedback from players?
Maybe on a Tuesday night or something like that. Usually about 8 or 9 o'clock. I think I don't remember exactly what time. And just text about certain things. I text back. It happened 2 or 3 times. Throughout the season, and I just say yeah. Pretty much we're looking at it, and from that standpoint, sometimes if it's a third down situation, first or second down stuff, probably about 3 or 4 texts we had.
Is that something that you're open to, or is there a different way in which you take feedback from players that you found better?
No, I think across the board. I think what you do as a coach is you have your game plan, you go in through it, and then all of a sudden certain routes do show up or something that might change, throughout the week. Even during half times, when we're in halftime, it'll change based upon what they're doing. And I think during the week, everybody has the ability to change. What's best for the team and what's best for the individuals that we have playing out there. So it changes. During the game, sometimes halftime, during practice, sometimes it changes.
How were there times where DJ would suggest things that you would say, hey, that's a good idea, let's go with that?
Yeah, sometimes I think, overall for the whole season, I think, players come up, hey, how about this stunt? Sometimes from a D-line perspective, Tom Sula comes to me, or even Chad Grimm, even today. Coaches come back and forth, and the same thing with the players. In this situation, what about this or that? And we're sticking with the plan that we're doing, or vice versa. We take a look at it.
As a former player, I think you can come at this with a different perspective, but do you also look at what he said as crossing a line?
He said what he said. I can't do anything about it. That's what he said. Crossing the line. Hey, I'm just going out there trying to win games as much as we can, each and every week.
Okay, guys, let's talk about the game. Enough of DJ, please. We didn't make the move. Anything about the game?
Yeah, how have you kept the rest of the team together after this and made sure everybody's on the same page going forward?
Well, that's the biggest thing is we're all on the same page. I think it's vital that, that every game that you play, that every person, the new guys that are in there, whoever they might be, DeShays, whoever, are on the same page. And from a lingo standpoint, they got to understand what we're trying to get through. And we're looking at this game as a important game for us. Why? It's a divisional opponent, and it's Philly.
Have you figured out much more about how you want to work the safety position for this last game?
Yeah, I think a little bit with, like I said, Deshays is going to be playing a decent amount, and then Jeremy Reeves will get opportunities in there. So those two individuals be playing a decent amount.
Yeah, just obviously DeShazier's come in the past, just, stepped in there and seen. Just how have you seen him kind of develop and what about him makes him, I guess, either serviceable or good, just, being placed into that role? I
think the biggest thing is he's been in a couple of packages that we had throughout the year, and overall he understands the defense. He understands, from the concepts. Does a great job. He's a physical player that'll put his hat in there. Did a great job today, actually, and looking forward for him to have a good game this week.
Greg, when you look back and you look at the times early in the season when you guys were playing really well and then that lull in the middle, what do you think was the biggest difference between those times when you played well and when you struggled?
I think overall, sometimes of the injuries that we had, with Dunny and stuff going down, that kind of hurt a little bit. With Dunny being a pretty good player, lock down some guys and make some plays on the outside. But, overall, I think, we try to get better every week we could. We, help opponents sometimes to less points. Sometimes in that Tampa Bay, I know it was a lot of yards, but, I always tell them, hey, they could drive the ball, as much as they want, but as long as they kick field goals, we always got a chance. But overall, I think the injuries kind of hurt us a little bit.
There's leadership from you guys, the coaches, and then obviously you want leadership within the group as well. As the season was going on, did you do anything to try to promote those guys being together, developing their own leadership?
I think the biggest thing as an ex-player and as a coach, I think the biggest thing is those rooms have to have leadership in them. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a couple of rooms that we do have some leadership qualities in each room. But from a coach's perspective, it's the hardest thing is when you don't have those leaders. We do have those leaders here, and I'm expecting them to step up this game, and they have, pretty much for the last couple of weeks when things haven't been as great as they have been.
Is a guy like do you feel he fills that kind of role for you?
Yeah, definitely. There's a guy from Alabama, of course, that came from a great organization in college, and I think he's one of those individuals that's going to step up and do a great job for us.
Hey, Coach, could you talk a little bit about the younger guys this season and what you've seen in them throughout the season?
Yeah, I think, individually wise, I think Fabian has done a great job, across the board. We had a lot of young guys. Matt Ioannidis, he's been up and down with injuries. Of course, Jonathan Allen, the number of sacks that he has had some success inside. Payne's done a good job on the inside. Ryan, he's a guy that's going to give you 11, 12, 13, hopefully 14, 15 sacks, a year. But, overall, I think as a collective group, we're doing better. I think we just got to keep on improving and, kind of scale back a little bit of the calls for the younger guys that are in there. And hopefully everything will go great on Sunday.
Noticed more intensity this week, knowing that it's the Eagles, knowing they're the last year Super Bowl winners, what a win by you guys could do to them?
I think the energy's been great in the meetings. I think out in practice it's been great. I think it's a divisional opponent, which we know, and I think that's the most important thing is we got to go up against these guys and go out there and put our big boy pads on all the time, out there and try to strike, separate, and try to make plays. Thank you. All right, guys.